Okay, what we're looking at today is the BahAria Oasis. It's found about 370 kilometers southwest of Cairo, and it's strewn with ancient stream beds and springs, and is what the name implies. It's an oasis. You can see here all the palm trees and date palms and things that are here that are very much make it an oasis. It's a depression land that's about 94 kilometers long by some 35 wide, that has a few spots that have people living there now, but people were living there in ancient times also, back through the Egyptian times. There's quite an interesting find here, and I want to share it with you. Now, BahAria Oasis is known as the Aryan Oasis, and BahAria, or it's the area of Aryans. It's known to the locals as Wahat, and which is real close to water, and the people there were known as Wati, which is very close to Whitey, but that's just a coincidence. So the meaning of it, though, is seaside oases in the local language, which makes almost no sense, seeing as how it's 375 miles away from any good body of water and far off the Nile. So did it flood at one time? Was it a giant primordial swamp way back when, and they keep the name from that, or something along that line? Well, there's a lot of theories onto that, but we won't go too much in depth to that here. But it tells you, yeah, that it's 94 by 42, not 32 kilometers wide. It covers an area about 2,000 square kilometers, so it's pretty huge. I mean, it's not just some little 3 palm trees and a spring that you can get out of it here. And if you ever want to look it up, you can just go to Wiki and look up BahAria Oasis, and it'll show you some neat things about it. They won't go into incredible depth, and hopefully you've seen one of my videos before, or a few other people have made them now, that show you BahAria Oasis and how it's got this pyramid that's been buried by people, all the top rock stolen from it, and it has a polished bathtub looking receptacle that's in it. It's incredible. It's super polished, and the place has a lot of anomalies and use extremely large stonework, so quite neat. But yeah, you can look this up here on the site, and it'll show you a lot of information about them and how they were, at one time occupied, and it started to dwindle, and then back through the Greeks in the time of Alexander the Great, it was reoccupied by a lot of the Greeks that were around at the time that had owned the place. So yeah, it's quite interesting, and so you can kind of see where we're located here. When we talk about Cairo, we're basically right here, and so you can kind of see how far it is out here, and really 400 kilometers from hitting any decent body of water, but it's supposed to be relating to the ocean. Okay, so here's the statue that they found in there, and the anomaly is that it's only about 3 foot tall, about 3'3", and so quite small. Okay, here's the oddity here, is here's a plastered statue, and what they've done is out of pink granite made a bedding, and then they plaster over the top of it, and then they carve into that intricate looking lifelike statues. And so kind of a different concept here on the whole mummification thing, and really are pretty much sealing them in concrete and then remaking their edifice on the outside of it. Later you see where they just paint pictures on boards, they tie them all up, and then they put the picture of themselves over their face. So there's an evolution to this whole process. The oddity here is that this thing is a little over 3 foot tall. I think it's 3'2.5", 3'3", and so it seems to be a very diminutive woman that's here, and quite a bit of an expression to her, and her look, and you can see them working on it right here, but it's somewhat calcified, and the area around there is of course very moist compared to the other areas, and so it seems to have perhaps ruined a lot of them. Now they found 14 tombs. Here's another body here, and They find effigies to a blue-eyed Horus and a few other people, so it's quite interesting. Now, they found coins with this, and the coins actually date to around 300 to 400 BC, or some of them do, and so that predates the Greeks even being here, which is an oddity, unless the people had a couple of 100-year-old coins for some reason and decided to bury them along with them. But quite unique here. She seems to have a green inlaid eye. Once you wet it, it'll probably show up a whole lot better. And here you can see the actual size of this and how diminutive it is. At first they thought it was a child, but now they find out that it's actually not. It was an adult. And of course, dwarfs and everything were very much revered by Egypt, and it wasn't something people genetically tried to go for, but at the same time they were always revered. They were kind of like a firecracker in a small package, and people knew it. So anyhow, like, share, and subscribe, guys, and we'll get back into this more. But the interesting effect here is that the coins they have actually date from older than the Greeks possibly being here, which does throw a little bit of a wrench into everybody's concept of how things went down back then. And you know, the dwarf body that's of an adult woman really shows another oddity to Egypt that just keeps continuing and continuing. Peace.